Hi there, and welcome to a new devlog. It's been a while, but there's a lot to celebrate this time. I've released a demo of Prophecy Island, and because of that, I want to go through the basics of everything I'm generating in the game. It's a big part of the game, it's a big part of this devlog series, and the devlog series is now so old, a lot of things have changed in the meantime, so I wanted to go over everything quickly to show you what is in the game right now and what the eventual goal is. So first up is terrain generation. And for terrain generation, I think one algorithm really stands out here, and that's midpoint displacement. That's kind of the rough template the terrain will get. I have for every biome a different range of values the midpoint displacement is allowed to reach into. Which gives it like a very hilly layout or a very flat layout. And then over that I add some Perlin noise to add more roughness or to make it more smooth. And that's the gist of the rough terrain. After that I just add some simple smoothing where necessary and something I call islanding, just flattening the edges so it looks like an island. And from there on, it's placing the points of interest. So the city, the towns, the harbor, and all the other points of interest. Once those have placed, paths will be generated between points of interest who are designated to have paths assigned to them, and the big ones, so the huge point of interest, there's 4 of them, and the city and the towns. And after that, tree and detail, so like grass, is being placed. I do this really weirdly because I'm using the legacy Unity renderer. I don't know what you call it. But it's just not performing well with putting a lot of grass on there generated. So a lot of grass I'm actually assigning as trees. But it's working. So every biome has its own grass and trees assigned. And then it's all placed on the map. This is done according to where points of interest are placed and whether there's grass or trees allowed to be spawned there as well. And same goes for towns and cities, for the streets, and certain steepnesses of hills are not allowed to spawn trees, stuff like that. Next up is city generation, and before we actually go into the full city gen, let's first look at building generation. Building generation is, as everything I do, made up out of a lot of templates. So I have templates for the type of walls that can be used. Those are kind of assigned to factions as well. So certain factions will have certain type of walls more often than others. So you get more of a distinct feel. Then you have entire building templates. So these templates just show what kind of room could be, or what rooms could be, how the shape of the building will look like, and then the algorithm will apply that generated set of walls and roofs, apply them to the template of the building, and then also spawn furniture where applicable. And once you have a bunch of those buildings, you can start generating a city. The main city is the biggest one. It's at the back of the island. So the big city has a big compound or a big castle-like building in the center, dedicated to the faction who's controlling it in this playthrough. All the buildings, of course, also use the style of the faction in power. The city has a big street going through the middle, and you will see different types of unique details per faction in cities as well, as you can see here. And this goes for the harbor and the towns as well. Those are just mini versions of the city. I make a distinction between mobs and NPCs, where mobs are NPCs that only attack you and have nothing to talk with you about. And NPCs actually have their own routine in the city. So NPCs are spawned with cities, and they will be assigned either a drive for working, so they can have a job in the city assigned to a workbench, or they can be assigned a drive to be shopping. So they walk through the city and they go to shops to shop and talk with the merchant. Next up is point of interest generation. Points of interest are usually built out of variants. So you have a main theme for a point of interest, and they have different variants so that not every time you encounter the same thing, it's always a mystery or a surprise what you'll encounter. And some of these variants are even only possible to be spawning in certain types of biomes, keeping it fresh between biomes as well. There's also a special type of point of interest. Those are the large ones I talked about before, and these types of interest consist out of multiple pieces that can randomly switch between versions. I'm showing the big example here. I call it Castle of Caresta. But yeah, it can spawn with different types of elements that are mixed around. And here's a quick look at how that will look like if an island is generated in different biomes with different points of interest and how different they are compared between each other. Questline generation is probably the piece that I had to redo most often. It was just so hard to get right. For what I've chosen in the end is a main questline that is pretty well defined. Like I've made a main quest, or I'm working on a main questline, but it's remixed every playthrough. So there's pieces that change or swap out, or it's using different points of interest to go to. But at least there's a coherent story to follow, but it's still different every time, so it still fits with the rest of the game. But I've also made fully generated quests, so you have smaller quests, fetch quests, kill quests, and those can be found around the island assigned to quest boards in the city. But you can also encounter a random event where the event will trigger a generated questline. These questlines will use the smaller quests templates as described before here. I'll actually show you which types I've made. It's kill, defend, escort, rescue, investigate, explore, talk, and fetch quest types. And all these quest types can be used to generate a, like I said earlier, a mini quest or be a part of a larger side quest line. And I also have 8 unique starter opening events for these side quest lines, and that is an NPC can be killed in the city and you are going to deal with that. There's a merchant who has been robbed and is complaining about it loudly. Somebody's being bullied in the city. A stranger can walk up to you and ask you for help. Another stranger can walk up to you and just plant a note on you. You could find an ancient scroll just somewhere in the overworld in a chest that will start a side quest line. You can encounter an NPC who is fighting a bunch of mobs who asks you for help, or you can find somebody stuck in a cage asking you to rescue them. And these then all lead into a different quest step afterwards, follows a certain template still to make it a coherent story, but still the rest of the side quest line is generated. So last but not least is dungeon generation, and that's actually a part of the game or the project that I made like 8 years ago for a different project and moved over into here. So I don't have all the details on it anymore, but the gist of it is I start out with a room, and then I, through settings for what type of dungeon I want, set how far away from that room I want to spawn the next room. If the rooms touch, they will remove the walls where they're touching, so you create a more open area. And if they don't touch, a simple path is generated from one room to the other. And like I said earlier, I can use the settings to create very large dungeons, or I can make them very close to each other, making them much more compact. I've added depth to it, so you can go down or up, all used to create different types of dungeon feelings. And on top of that, you can have different types of dungeons. I believe we have classic, you have caves, and then I think ancient. It's just called ancient right now. And that also gives a unique feel. As per the rest of the game, it's filled with templates, of course, to still get that handcrafted feel in there. And even these templates have variants on top of each other to still give that unique feeling, so you don't immediately recognize, oh wait, I know where this is, I know what's going to happen. And that's all the generation, or at least the biggest pieces. I'm sure I've forgotten something. But I did want to highlight a few things if you're interested in the game. Because there's quite a few more things I've added to the game that are not necessarily related to generating content. For example, weapon sigils or talismans. In the game you can collect sigils, which are combat effects, and assign them to your weapon. You can trigger those by holding your attack down charging your attack and then releasing them. You can assign up to 3 to a weapon if it's fully upgraded, and that kind of allows you to create your own buff effects, because you can assign 3 any of your choosing sigils to a weapon. And like I said earlier, talismans, or I mentioned them, talismans are like spells which you can make yourself. So instead of assigning a sigil to a weapon, you can assign it to a talisman. So 1 sigil to 1 talisman is just you're casting that 1 sigil. But if you add more, it's just like the weapon. You're making your own spells that way. Speech options is a really big part of the game, heavily influenced by the Fallout series. Depending on which stats you have, you get different speech options. You get rewards sometimes for speech options you've chosen, or penalties. There's a reputation system individually between you and the NPC, but also between the faction you represent and the faction the NPC represents. There's a roguelite death system, so if you die too many times, you'll lose, and that will impact the next island. If you win, of course, it will also impact the next island. But yeah, you also carry over weapons or other rare items you have unlocked, and you get a small selection of them with you to NG+. Other than that, there's a claim point of interest system, so you can claim points of interest on the map in name of your faction. It's part of the main quest line, but it also enables extra secrets. And I think those are the big points right now. If all of that sounds interesting to you, please check out the demo which I just released. It's on Steam. The game's called Prophecy Island, if that wasn't clear yet. And I think that's it for today. Thank you all very much, and see you next time.